Hi everyone, my name is Nicola. I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, it's great to have you, and if you're returning, thanks again for coming and spending a little bit more time with me today. So doing a stitch with me today, and I am working on my Paine Free Crafts kit, which is called Sailing Fairy. Artwork is by Nadia Strelkina, and I am in a confetti area. So I've actually been sort of working on this for getting on for an hour, and I've done 30 stitches. So because it's all been sort of, you know, single or, you know, 2 or 3 stitches kind of thing, and it's still early in the morning. Anyway, I'm going to crack on and do this stitch. I've also got a few comments to answer today, and yeah, let's see how far we can get on this stitchy hour. I've also lost a needle today, which doesn't please me, because it means that Andy will find it in his foot at some point. I'll teach him to walk around barefoot, eh? So I've got a new needle out. Hope everybody is doing well. We are now just getting sort of the tail end of, or the end of the storm. Babette is now past, but we're sort of in a bit of a clean-up operation, as it were. For those of you that haven't seen or don't watch my live video, we've had quite a storm here, and people have been flooded. We've essentially been living on an island, because all roads on or off where I live have been pretty much impassable for a couple of days. Public transport has been disrupted and so on, although I consider myself very fortunate. I live in a house on the top of a hill with level access to a main road and things, so I can get places. But I do know personally at least one person who has been flooded out of her home, and yeah, it's not pleasant. So my thoughts are with everybody who's been affected adversely by this storm, and I do hope that things improve soon. Like I said, the neighbourhood that I live in, the village I live in, pretty much every road out of it, every access road in or out had been flooded. So fortunately I didn't have to really, you know, we didn't have to go anywhere. But there were people who did go places. Whether or not they needed to or not is up for some debate. Cars have got stuck, and you know, lots of abandoned cars knocking about. There was one lady who even posted on social media that her car started to float in the flood water, and it was a 4x4, one of the big sort of, you know, all-terrain type vehicles. And the problem is that although we are more prepared in 2023 than we were 16 years ago in 2007 when we had a major flood, the floods are getting worse. The flood waters are getting higher, and you know, the lady I know was flooded out, Little Loops, who's a floss tuber. She lives near a reservoir which had flood defences put in after 2007 floods, and the water in the reservoir rose so quickly and to such a level that it actually went over the top of the flood defences. So even though we were better prepared, we're still not prepared enough. But I don't know what the answer is, I really don't. Anyway. So yeah, I had another nice live video this week. If you haven't joined in and you're not sort of sure, then please do come and join in. We'll have a nice sort of chat, a chin wag, and people ask questions, and you know, we all sort of stitch along together. I worked on my autumn waltz this time, which was nice. Nice to see some progress on it. It's not a big piece, but you know, to get the progress is great. I've got some office days this week, so that will keep me busy. Should be taking my princess with me because I like to stitch her when I'm in the office. I can, you know, get a bit of a hair done or whatever when I've had my lunch. And a couple of weeks' time, and I'm going to be on annual leave again, which will be nice. And again, for those of you that haven't watched my live, because reminded me of annual leave, I'll be going away with Andy. Andy's video has done phenomenally well, and he knows that in part he has my Stitchy audience to thank, because I know some of you have been watching it and have been watching it on repeat and have shared it amongst friends and so on and so forth. His video is over 92,000 views, getting towards 93,000 views, and in terms of his YouTube earnings, he's definitely met that threshold. So guess who will be having another kit? When this kit comes, there will probably be another unboxing, so you might well get an extra video this week, which will be nice. I do love sharing the Gecko Rouge kits when they come through. They're just so beautifully put together, it's phenomenal. Try and get a few stitches in, and then we'll go and start and look at some comments. Don't think I've got too many this time. I did have an email as well, which again I've already replied to, but I will share my reply as well with you guys. So nearly 10 minutes and I've only done 12 stitches. Flipping confetti bit. It is what it is. They look wonderful when it's done though. I mean, look at these gorgeous colours. It's great, aren't they? Sorry, this one's just taking a bit of attention. Make sure I get these stitches in the right place. Okay. So I'm going to look at the email first, and then we'll go on to the other comments. So the email asks, hope you don't mind me asking this question. I love your videos, especially the close-up ones. I don't watch your lives though, as it's not my thing. That's absolutely fair enough. Anyway, my question is, how do you decide what fabric you're going to use on a particular project? Which is a great question, because obviously I have fabric in all counts. But it does depend on the project itself. Like, for example, if it'll lend itself to something like a cushion cover, like Autumn Waltz, I might stitch that on 14 count, although Autumn Waltz is on 18 count. 18 count for Ada is pretty much my favourite, so anything that's small I would tend to use 18 count, but I have used 14 and of course 16. Mid projects like She Sleeps, she's gone on 20 count because I wanted to see the detail in it really, and I didn't want it to be too small. I wanted it still to be impactful when it's done. For 1/1 full cross full coverage, 25 count is my stitching sort of sweet spot. It's the most used one that I have, and I'll also use that for tent stitch. Having said that, I'm not averse to using 28 count for 1/1, but I've only got one project that's with that because it is a strain on the eyes, and that's Pandemic. Pandemic is still to be finished, and it's the only project that I've got on 28 count. And just while we're talking about fabric, so with stitching as well, I've got pieces that are over 700,000 stitches that I'm doing full cross. With my Afromov piece, the Night Cafe, I've chosen to do that tent stitch because it's nearly 1 million stitches. So it might be a bit quicker, it might not, I don't know. But, you know, I figured I would do that on tent stitch with it being the biggest stitch that I've got. So I hope that answers your question. I did email you back if you're watching. But so yeah, it depends on really on the impact that I want it to have as to how I decide what fabric it goes on, and also what fabric I've got available, because you know I don't have an infinite amount of fabric. Like for example, my Lugana, I buy it piece by piece because I don't have a bolt of it. I've just finished up the bolts of 25 count that I've got, but I have got a 28 count bolt still to use, and a 16 count and some 20 count, some 18 count, and definitely some 14 count. So I've still got a fair bit of fabric to go at, and I might just find myself, you know, adjusting what fabric I use to suit what I've actually got in future. So, you know, any other big starts that I've got, you might find them that I'm putting them on 28 count because it's the fabric I've got available. So there you go. But no new starts next year. I am still holding firm. So there we go. Just move this along just this wee tiny bit. That's it. Oh. She also asked in her email about the neighbour across the road. Neighbour across the road is no longer the neighbour across the road. The council have taken the house back because she has abandoned the house and has refused to engage with them about the property. They have exercised their right to take the property back, and she's going to have a lot of difficulty finding anybody to help her because she's had a suitable property which she has abandoned. She will be deemed as made herself intentionally homeless. So she'll have a great difficulty finding any local authority housing. Excuse me. So she will need to go into private sector, but of course she hasn't got the money to do that. So I've seen her on TikTok a few times, you know. I just really use TikTok to neb on her. But no, things are not getting any better. And to be perfectly honest, it's of her own making. You know, she's chosen to conduct herself in this way. So there's really not much else she can expect. There's been noises of an arrest. The reason for the arrest is up for some debate. I've heard drunk driving, a driving offence, assault, and racial and homophobic behaviour. To be honest with you, none of which surprised me. So there you have it. Okay, I'm going to have a look at some of my published comments now. So, Norma asks on Envy, well, last time Envy was out, Envy's beginning to become a bit of a channel favourite. And it was on my last chatty, I think. Come on you go. Norma asks, I was just wondering, looking at your piece, how far am I from the top right corner? So Envy is 400 stitches wide, and I'm about 180 stitches in. So I'm not quite halfway across. There's going to be quite some work to get to the other side, I think. But to be fair with Envy, it's a lovely journey. We like Envy. Andy even said to me yesterday that he likes the colours in Envy. The greens are very striking. So I did reply to Norma that it is 400 stitches wide, and that the stitch at the right edge on that you could see on my stitch with me is stitch number 180. And she says it looks like I'll have plenty of enjoyable stitching days ahead of me. Absolutely. I absolutely will, Norma. You're so right. Feels very slow this morning. Curly Crafter says, I love listening to your stitch with me. Thank you. I listen while working and it relaxes me. Well, like you into a secret, curly crafter. When I'm working from home, if I'm doing queue work or live chat, then I'll often listen to a stitch with me too. Even though I can't stitch, I'll listen to it because I'll listen to the conversation, because it's something that, you know, I can listen to and don't have to put too much focus in, if that makes sense. I can still concentrate on my work, but it's nice to sort of have that in the background. Occasionally I have ASMR stitching videos on as well. As always, she says your stitching is looking wonderful. Envy is just such a lovely piece to stitch on. And, you know, I mean, you guys will know that I've stitched for a lot of years, so I've kind of got my technique down, and, you know, I take my time. I'm not in a hurry per se to finish any of my pieces, although I would like, you know, to see them finished. I'm not burning to finish them. I enjoy the process of stitching, and some days I definitely stitch quicker than others. So Sherry says, thank you for the video. This is also on Envy, and I'm so happy with you on your weight loss journey. To keep up the good work. Well, I had another weigh-in last week on Thursday, and I'm now up to 2 stone 3.5 pounds lost, which is 31.5 pounds if you want to put it that way. Don't ask me what it is in kilograms, but 2.2 pounds to every kilogram, so probably about 14-15 kilograms, something like that. I'm feeling huge benefits. Walking any sort of distance is much easier. I'm not getting out of breath. If I'm not at home and I need to eat, I'm making better choices, rather than just go for the sort of convenience of, you know, chips or McDonald's or something like that. I'm actively seeking out better choices. And I'm not afraid to sort of, you know, be in a restaurant and say, well, I'd like a jacket potato but no butter, or, you know, can I have this but without the sauce, or, you know, that kind of thing. I've really found a love of plain and simple food, you know, and I don't need to overdo it. I don't need to add hot sauces or, you know, things like that, and just to make my food taste better, because the simple pleasures is something that's simply cooked, but cooked properly, or, you know, made properly. I mean, typically in a day I might not even have anything hot. I might just have, you know, cold food, and that's absolutely fine, because if it tastes delicious, then I'm more than happy to do that. I mean, I do try and have hot food at least once a day, but, you know, sometimes it's not always possible. Yesterday, for example, I had some fruit and yogurt for my breakfast. No, I didn't have breakfast yesterday. I had like a late breakfast stroke early lunch, which was some cottage cheese and tomatoes, which I love. And then for my main meal, which we had early because now on a Sunday we start to have our main meal a bit earlier to enable my stepdad to travel home in daylight. I had some pork steak with the fat cut off. I had a couple of roast potatoes. I had some Yorkshire pudding. I had vegetables and a splash of gravy. And it was more than sufficient. And my stepdad brings pudding, but I didn't want that. And then later on in the evening, I had a couple of cereal bars. And then I had some scrambled egg and tomato for my supper. Scrambled egg without butter. And some tinned tomatoes, which are beautiful and sweet. And just perfect for me, because I get that sweet hit. And I don't deprive myself of things like chocolate. You know, I am allowed to have a certain amount of what they call sins, which is foods that have got a given a value. And as long as you go over no more than a daily allowance, you can have, you know, whatever else that you want. And I didn't feel deprived at all, not one little bit. Even, you know, I can still have my morning latte sachet, which has got a sin value, but I can still have it. I could still have a glass of wine if I wanted, even though I rarely drink. So anyway, moving on. So Esther says, thank you for making it relaxing and enjoyable. Happy stitching. That was on Envy. You're very welcome, Esther. It's my pleasure to do these videos for you all. Four or 5 hours that I spend in a week making videos, I consider it time well spent. Oh, I'm all fingers and thumbs this morning. Trying to put, you know, it's pull off a piece of thread, do one stitch and then putting it back on thread card. Today I just can't seem to do it. Okay, so Missy says, I just love listening to you and enjoying stitching with my morning coffee. I'm a bit sad that the 7 deadly sins are retired on Heaven and Earth Designs. It would be a dream to have them on my wall. And I did respond to this message that I didn't know that they'd been retired, and then I went and had a look on the website, and I can still see that they are available on the Heaven and Earth Designs website. I can see all 7 of them and in various formats, so they are still there. Marta Darlig's works are still there, so might be worth just having another look, Missy. Whether or not they are unavailable in your country, I don't know, but I can certainly see them. Oh, fingers and thumbs, fingers and thumbs. I feel so clunky today. And it's not like I've got a long manicure or anything, because I had these done a week or so ago. Mrs. Miggins, lovely long comment from her here. And she says, congratulations to the both of you. You for the 10 plus 2, 10 and 2, which is my 10% and £2 off, which I got recently. Isn't it funny how adults love receiving stickers? Yep. And congratulations to Andy with his 50,000 plus views. Well, that's now jumped up dramatically to 96,000, so 92,000. She says, it's fabulous. I was watching you, whilst I was watching you, my newest iPad has gone kaput. And the majority of the downloads and, of course, the Heaven and Earth designs that I'm working on were on it. Oh, dear. I'm gutted. I did buy a computer from my ex, but I haven't loaded anything onto it yet. Technological disasters are not my favourite kind of disaster either. So I do feel for you there, Mrs. Miggins. I'll have a few stitches out of this colour, which will be nice. Danny Cross Stitch says, really wanted to join your live today, but I didn't make it. Going to watch the replay though. Big thank you. No problem at all. And, you know, sometimes you can get, sometimes you can't. And, you know, either way, it's what happens. My lives are always available on replay, so you can go back and watch if you don't make it. So Brittany comments on my live stream 6. Oh, Josephine Wall, I love her pieces, even though the confetti is insanity. I have one of my own I pick up now and then, Millennium Tree of Peace Max Colours. Seeing a new start makes me want to get it out, even though I literally just started on the October limited edition Heaven and Earth designs yesterday, and I only have 500 stitches in. Stitch on what makes you happy. And if you want to pick up that piece, go pick it up. That's what I would do, because I, over the summer, had a bit of a blah moment with my rotation, and I just decided to stitch on what made me happy and what called out to me. And it made things better. It was either stitch on what called out or lose my stitching bug, and I didn't want that. So stitch on what makes you happy. And if getting out, you know, putting a piece down that you've only just started on and getting out a new one's going to make you happy, getting out, you know, previous one's going to make you happy, then do it. Kel's Bells, wanted to watch the catch up today. As always, I can never make your lives. It's just a bit late. I sleep early for an early rise. I'm glad that you're still enjoying them, even though they're on replay for you, Kels. And I hope you've managed to sort of see this week's as well. I know that you tend to watch them in the morning, don't you? So on my last floss tube, when we were talking about Andy's video, Mrs. Miggins told me get choosing my kit. Not the only one that said that, Mrs. M. Andy said it too. I need to get on and choose it. But I'm waiting for this one to come through the post before I do another one. So again on my floss tube, Sherry says, thanks for the video and your progress is looking good. I hope you win the bet. I think I have won the bet. I think the only person that didn't believe that he would do it is Andy. And I would really like for him to have a little bit more belief in himself. He did a tremendous job, and those of you who've watched it gave me some feedback on the live stream and said, you know, how professional it was, and how informative and well researched and so on and so forth. And I don't think Andy realises just how good a creator that he is. I just want him to have the confidence in himself, really, that, you know, what he does is amazing. I know that Missy watches some of his village videos and tells us that she's learned a lot. And that's the idea of them, that they are a video record of something that we are fast losing in this country, because villages are being absorbed into towns and into other neighbourhoods, and, you know, and they're being merged. And in some cases, you know, some villages have a population of 0. So, you know, it's good to have this record that this place did exist. So Linda Fabrizio tells me that my princess is beautiful. Yes, she is. I love her. I love her colours. And she says, I'm withering away to nothing. It's not easy to lose weight. No, it's not. But I'm not quite nothing yet. I still have a good few stones to lose. You know, I'm one of those people that I'm sensible. I know it's going to take me a while to lose this weight, and I won't lose so much that I become unrecognisable. There is such a thing as, you know, being too thin, and I don't want to get to that point. I just want to get to be slim, happy and comfortable with the size and shape that I am, more than anything. Increase my energy levels, increase, you know, my feeling of wellness, my health will improve, and I'll be around for a long time. I've got every reason to want to stick around in this life. My kids are the main one. So Esther says, thank you for sharing. I'll also share both of your videos, and good luck to both of us. Thank you, Esther. I definitely think that it's worked. And Andy has conceded that I am going to win this. So he's had a good weekend. Weekends are really good for him because, you know, he does get quite a boost over a weekend, money-wise and revenue-wise in YouTube, but also views-wise. He tells me this morning that the weekend there was 6,000 views over the weekend, which is phenomenal. You know, I mean, I can't get 6,000 views, but he certainly did. He's made a few adjustments recently to his channel, which, to be fair, have only benefited it. You know, like changing the time that he puts his videos out to 6 p.m. That's had a very positive effect. So Clara says, you're going to win the bet, I just know it. Have you selected your kit from Gecko Rouge yet? I love seeing the progress you've made on your projects. Until next time, happy stitching. I've not selected a kit, but I'm leaning towards the Ho Ho Ho, because the Ho 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 information has just been released. So, but I'm not ordering anything else until the existing order has come. Salita says, hello, Nicola. You are looking good there, girl, on your loss of stones. Thank you. Hi, little angel, stroke monster. Yeah. She's going to be confused next week when we change the clocks. All your work in progresses are looking awesome. I'm a couple of hours late for the live, but this is still good. Loving all of your works. Hi Andy, I like your videos. Keep up the awesome work. Bye for now. Until next time, have a great week, everyone. And she also comments that she loves the colour of my nails. I do too. Betsy says, wonderful projects and progress. You're doing amazing with your weight loss journey. Thank you. I'm heading over to see Andy's video and I can't wait to see which kit you choose. Leah says, as always, it's great to see your progress and we'll do my best to push Andy's video. See, I said to Andy, I can get people to watch a video, but you can't stop people from watching your video. So I'm going to win. I was always going to win, I think. And I've told him I reserve the right to look smug when I do, when it's confirmed at the end of the month. Leslie has gone back to sort of, an older video and comments that she lovely progress on my whips. She loves my banter with Andy and he's a better stitcher than he thinks. Often the case, he's a better filmmaker than he thinks as well. On my last stitch with me, not my last stitch with me, my last ASMR stitch with me, Esther comments, nice stitching and thank you for sharing. That's on Stephanie Poy-Munlow's She Sleeps, which is a beautiful piece. And it's one that I did struggle to settle into at the beginning, but I seem to have got there now. And Mrs. Miggins also comments on that video that my kit is in the bag. I had messages, I had a message over Instagram that said that this lady was watching my video on watching Andy's video at twice the speed on 2 different devices, so she could increase his view count. And I was brilliant. I was like, oh my goodness. So Joe says, I missed the live but watched the replay and Andy's video. It was excellent. I love the new start. You tempt me. New accessories might be a good option. I think he will make 2. The only new accessory I think that I would like at the moment is a long bar for my Lowry stand. The right angle bar that the clamp sits on, because sometimes I find that when I'm working on a smaller hoop that the short L bar is not quite, I kind of seem to be hunched rather than sort of sat properly and relaxedly. Relaxedly, is that a word? So I put out a music video with stitching shelf, and Clara has commented saying, you're stitching on my favourite one, stitching shelf. I'm now at 2.52% on my stitching shelf and just about at the end of the first 10 by 10 row. I cannot wait to start the second row. It's a joy even with the ninja stitches. Couldn't agree with you more. The thing I like about a stitching shelf is that you can be stitching what looks like a blob, and then all of a sudden when you've put the last stitch in, it all makes sense as to what that blob actually is. Last time it was some birds, and then a bottle of wine in a wine glass, and yeah, it's just, it is, it's lovely to stitch. All these little surprises in it. So Danny Cross Stitch comments as well on my stitching shelf, and she says, I love this chart. I got the supersized max colour in my pattern keeper, but, well, starting it might be a bit of a thing. As beautiful as it is, and as much as I do want to do it, it scares me too. And I think maybe a monogamous one, not been stitching for very long, but I couldn't get myself to start another before I finished my first project. Completely understandable. What I would say is, with a big chart, break it down into what feels comfortable for you. So on Pattern Keeper, you can see the page breaks. Shall I stitch up to a page break? Shall I stitch a first sort of page? Shall I stitch, in 10 by 10 blocks? Shall I do it, 5 by 5? How is it best for you? Is it best to stitch in blocks? Is it cross country, parking? But just do it in small bites. For every 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever stitches you do on it, it's an achievement. So every percent you move up on it, it's an achievement. Don't be intimidated by the larger projects. I mean, obviously, as I said before, I use Stitch Pal, and I see these patterns in Stitch Pal, and I think, oh my God, I've got another 15 years of working on this. But that's only 15 years of working on it because I'm not working on it monogamously. So, don't let anything about the project, scare you as such. Just take it in small bites, piece by piece. I like to work mine, in a 10 by 10, a 10 deep row. My stitching shelf, I'm doing it 10 deep row by row, left to right. This one, I'm going to do a 10 by 10 deep row to the right and then back to the left. So like a snake method. Each piece that you see me work on, I'm using a different way of counting it, a different way of progressing it as, something different, something unique, because then that also keeps my focus and keeps me interested in it. It's another sort of a handy tip there, but don't be intimidated by it. The only thing that you will be intimidated, if you've not got it already, will be the sheer size of the fabric, because supersized max colour ones will obviously have a large piece of fabric. Nope, that's not right. My supersized max colour Leonid Afromov piece covers my available floor space. It covers my king size bed. And although that one is a square, the Amy Stewart one for you won't be a square, it'll be an oblong. It's still going to be a large piece of fabric. And count those, count the fabric, count where to start. Don't make the same mistake that I did on my Afromov piece and think, I've got plenty of fabric, and then be not just a squeak out, but be quite a bit out. So counting and counting some more is the best advice I can give you before you even put a stitch in a big piece. Mark it, mark the fabric, make sure you've got enough. And I think that's the end of my comments. So not quite as many this time as we've had before, but do keep your comments coming. It's I love to read them and respond to them in these Stitch with Me's, because I think it's a nice thing to do. You guys have taken the time to sit and write something. It's only fair really to respond. And as I said, you're all my friends anyway. I don't feel like I've done very much on this, but that'll be the confetti for you. I'm going to have a tot up in a minute because I'm almost at the end of my time for today. I am working today. It's a Monday. I was saying yesterday in my live that the working week lasts about 8 or 9 days really, and a weekend about 30 seconds. It really does feel like that instantly, the second that you get into the weekend, it's gone. Keep saying I'd love to be able to stitch full-time as a job, but I can't see any job that's going to allow me to do this full-time. Unless I was working for some, I don't know, some wacky billionaire that decided that they just wanted somebody to sit and stitch for them all day long. But to pay me a decent chunk of change for it, none of this penny a stitch malarkey. Because that's the other thing, I could have a lottery win. Really ought to go halfway though and buy a ticket. Just found my lost needle. As I've been sat here stitching, it's just kind of got light. And it's a foggy morning. A very foggy morning. Foggy is better than rainy. You can definitely, it's definitely very autumnal now with the fog. Silly. So this week's stitching agenda is Sailing Fairy for the next couple of days. My Josephine wall will also be coming out for the next couple of days, and Night Cafe will be coming out for a couple of days. And in between, when I'm at work, I will get my Princess out and pop some more stitches in her. Not a bad agenda, I don't think. All pieces that I'm enjoying stitching on. So I think my next stitch with me will be with my Josephine wall. Potentially. Not 100% sure. It might be Night Cafe. Well, Andy's children coming at the weekend, and we've got a birthday in the house. His son's birthday, so we'll be celebrating that. I don't think there's much else happening this week. It's a quite old week in my house. Andy will be away filming in Cambridgeshire, as long as it's not flooded. So that'll be him occupied in the early part this week. I've got my office days. Yeah. Life just rumbles on, just trundles on. I'm going to get these few stitches in, and then I'm going to sign off on this one. Not done an awful lot of stitches this morning. But hey, progress is progress. And if I can get, 100 stitches in even in an hour, that's progress. It means I'm 100 stitches closer to finishing. That's the way I think of it anyway. I'm glad I found this needle anyway. And his foot is saved. I remember the first time he ever trod on a needle. Oh, he was furious. I think now he's now come to realise that it's a part of my stitching journey that I will occasionally lose needles, and that he will occasionally find them. Even though I've got a big magnet, it doesn't always pick them up. So Anyway, we'll just have a tot up and see how far we've got. Oh, that's not bad. 141 stitches. Not bad, considering that, you know, this bit here is quite heavy confetti, but look how gorgeous that is. Look at them colours. They're gorgeous. So yeah, that's everything really from me today. All that remains is to my usual sort of reminders. Up here, if you hover over, you'll find a letter I. It takes you to the how I start and end my threads video. 3 videos appearing on your screen in a moment. So if you've not watched them, please do go and take the time and have a look. The only way I ask you to support my channel is simply through your viewership. Please do check, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and that you have pressed the notification bell so that it tells you every time I upload a new video or I'm about to go live. My live videos take place every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. UK time, whichever that may be. Be aware that I think it's next weekend that the clocks change. So my live, if you are not in the UK and you haven't had any change of your clocks, will be an hour earlier than they would normally be, because our clocks go back an hour. Is it an hour earlier? I think so. Anyway, yeah, so floss tube Tuesdays, my floss tubes are Tuesdays, my stitch with me's are Wednesdays and Fridays, my live video on Sunday. If you want to participate in the live chat as well on my live video, you will have to be subscribed, as I've set those videos up that only subscribers can chat and comment. But really, all that's left to say is thank you all ever so much for watching, everybody. Do take care. Happy stitching. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.